Good afternoon, friends. We are here today for basically two things. One is most important, which is NCTC. All the CMs from the states were here to discuss this issue in the light of the Naxal attack, which has happened recently. Uh, BJP has throughout held that the issues which are of national importance, especially concerning India, we need to be one with the nation, and whether it's all party meeting called by the center, we are going to be present and give our point of view and not play politics as has happened, because when the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh called all party meeting, that meeting was boycotted and the Congress refused to attend that meeting. And we are seeing various inputs which are coming from the intelligence agencies on various issues as to how this attack particularly took place and who all were involved, and all those subjects are very relevant. Today, we have seen that again UPA government has decided to brazen out with NCTC proposal and delimiting and basically declining the authority of the states. That has been the intention throughout. Nowhere in the world that any intelligence agency is given the operational input also. In this case, there is a model which is a flawed model. And why it is flawed? It is flawed because the idea may be good that there has to be, because these subjects, and especially Naxal terrorism, etc., are across various states. So you do need various inputs from different states, and it has to be collated, collected, interpreted, and operational duties need to be assigned, and center needs to be party to all those decisions. At the same time, the state's authority, when dealing with operational status, especially carrying out counter-terrorist attacks, then these center bodies like CRPF, etc., have to work in support of the state, not at counter purposes with the state. And the model which is being proposed is basically a flawed model, and it is virtually limiting the constitutional entry of law and order, taking that away from the state subject, which is not permitted. And in this, we have also said that we have a history, and if you see the various graphs, then we have seen that the graph, so far as terrorism, Chhattisgarh was really appreciated because it has contained the Naxal activities. But if there are 14 militarized battalions of Naxals, out of them, about 12 are operating in Bastar alone. And they come, their warfare mechanism is that attack and go back. There is a mobile group and there is a guerrilla warfare. And they move on to various states. Andhra Pradesh is one, Orissa is other. And to control and contain those activities, definitely there has to be various states need to come on the same on board with each other and share intelligence inputs, which is what is not happening, and that's where we see the utility of NCTC. If you look at and compare the models which we have already from US and UK, the two models which are available, their own methodology is that you collate data from various intelligence bodies in the fusion centers and various other centers, interpret that data, and those who are working in the intelligence format, their identity needs to be respected, because if their identity is disclosed, as we are seeing, that IB cover is being eroded by the present government, especially in case of Ishrat Jahan Tabassum, Ishrat's case. Under those circumstances, there is a huge amount of suspicion which is created by this government's own action and inaction at various places. And we've seen in case of Naxal and terrorism, if you compare the data area-wise, you see that the Naxal affected area in terms of, if I say only Chhattisgarh, is far greater than Jammu and Kashmir per se in lakh square kilometers. If you see the forces, if the requirement of battalions as per an old committee is 70 battalions, and we don't have that adequate number present in Chhattisgarh. So NCTC's requirement under these circumstances is important, but that importance is eroded when it wants to take over the operational issues also. Uh, the manner in which NIA has functioned in the recent past, that also creates a lot of suspicion. The manner in which IB and such bodies have been used, misused, and abused by the present government. So under these circumstances, we definitely are on board to have various mechanisms in place, especially concerning the national security and dealing with Naxal and terrorism at par with each other, because number of deaths in Naxal attacks has far exceeded the other terrorism which we have seen. And considering these circumstances, India needs to take a call, especially finding its own place in the global and changing geopolitical scenario, because IEDs, arms, smuggling, all these are center subjects, and all that needs to be controlled if we really genuinely wish to control Naxal activities. And there is cross-border terrorism which is affecting the states, and Hawala money is again utilized for these activities. Arms smuggling is happening from across the border, and states, through various states, the transports are happening. There is very high quality intercepts which show that the communication mechanisms and the communication devices are far better. The armed guerrillas are very well armed, and those arms are also coming from across the border. So center has its own duties assigned, but we see there is a strange amount of obstinacy when it comes to dealing with those methods effectively. Center is not really effectively dealing with those subjects. On the contrary, we feel that there is somewhere these are taken as opportunities, and a politics of opportunism is being played by the center rather than dealing with this subject. I feel that if anybody who cares for the nation definitely needs to deal with these subjects with a very heavy hand. But if we survive to live another day, only then can we play politics. So playing politics with subjects which affect the issues of national integrity is unfortunate, and we completely abhor and condemn these activities as much as playing politics with these subjects is concerned. And no politics of opportunism needs to be played. On the contrary, this particular subject of Naxal and terrorists and various other terrorism activities which are happening in the country and affecting our integrity need to be handled very firmly. And soft approach is really not the answer. At the same time, eroding the authority of the state also is not the answer. You need to find a way, and emphasis needs to be given to security. And I can only say that when it comes to NCTC, it appears that there is an attempt to hide its own failures by bringing in this particular act at this moment, because when you see the conviction rate in the cases involving NIA, we've seen none of those cases have seen the light of the day except 2 cases ever since, and we can see that it has been used more for political purposes than really the national operational role which it was meant to be. And left-wing insurgency definitely needs to be understood, and that is my humble submission, that it needs to be equated with terrorism. Repeatedly I'm saying this, making this point, that it needs to be equated with terrorism. Various mechanisms need to be devised so that we can collate messages, data, and there are various researches, including one from the Deputy Director of Intelligence from Security from the US, who has also stated that the mechanism has to be such that the intelligence data, the body handling the intelligence data cannot handle the operational duties, should not handle operational duties, because at times there can be over-enthusiastic uh, uh, officers who can misuse and lead to arrest of various agents, and that can blow the cover and can cause a lot of damage. Plus, operational part has necessarily to be kept separate from the intelligence part, and that is the basic flaw which one sees in the NCTC model as proposed by the government. And under those circumstances, the both the left-wing insurgency and the other terrorism which is happening from across the border, we need to find linkages, we need to control, and the amount of deaths we've seen, the civilian deaths have been the maximum in this entire episode. And then comes the number two is the security forces, and number three is the Naxals. So one has to, and they have a huge propaganda machinery, which some liberal left intellectuals, which carry on with the propaganda mechanism without really understanding the implication which it has for the nation. Especially the idea of red terrorism is the same as the other terrorists, that is to subvert the democratic mechanism and change the manner in which we run our polity. So similar approach needs to be associated with this terrorism as well.